Hey folks, Wally DM here, and today we're going to take a look at a puzzle that you can find in the Book of Many Things. Now this is a brand new 5th edition supplement that features the Deck of Many Things, one of the most infamous magic items in all of D&D history. Now the puzzle that we're going to look at today is called the Perfect Hand, and it uses 5 cards from the Deck of Many Things. In this puzzle, it can actually be fit into anything. You can drop it right into your game. Now if you don't have the Book of Many Things, and more importantly, the Deck of Many Things, and you still want to run this puzzle, you can actually do that with a normal Major Arcana Tarot deck. And if you don't have that, then you can jump over into the Wally DM Discord, where I have listed how you can run this using public domain images of a tarot deck that you can find online. But I will say, if you're on the fence about picking up the Book of Many Things, this book and the Deck of Many Things are absolutely stunning. I love this purchase, and this is a great book for Dungeon Masters. And in fact, I don't even think that you need to be playing 5th edition in order to get this book. There's so many fun ideas in here. So if you'd like to see a future review of this book, be sure to leave a comment below. Now let's get started with the puzzle, the Perfect Hand. So the Perfect Hand is a sorting puzzle that can be used to indicate the presence of a hidden treasure or a secret passage. Now this is a puzzle that's going to fit well into any dungeon, a haunted manor, or an abandoned gambling den. When the characters enter the room, you'll read them the following. A statue of a halfling, her brow knitted in concentration, is seated at a stone table before you. She holds her empty palms close to her chest, her fingers cupped slightly. A single playing card, the Rogue, lies flat on the table. Suddenly, the statue speaks.
Still searching for the perfect hand? Take the 5 cards and place them into my hand. Use the following instructions. The treacherous rogue is poised to backstab the sage. The haughty sage, full of disdain, won't deign to be next to the jester. The foolish jester does a headstand while gazing at the faraway knight. The loyal knight stands before the sage. Behind the jester, the impassive fates hang like bats from the sky.
So as the puzzle is presented in the Book of Many Things, the characters start with the rogue in front of the halfling, and then they need to go and find the sage, the knight, the jester, and the fates. Now this is perfect as a lock and key puzzle if you want your characters to explore the dungeon, the temple, or wherever they may be. They would need to find each of the other 4 cards in different parts and bring them back to this area. But for purpose of demonstrating this puzzle, or if you just want to make this a single room puzzle, then you can have all 5 cards laid out in front of the halfling, and they simply need to put them in order. Now as the puzzle is written in the book, the characters are to place the cards into the hand of the halfling. But I think it would make a little bit more sense if we have a smaller table and there are 5 areas in front of the statue of the halfling, and the characters need to simply put the cards in the spaces provided from left to right. So you now have everything that you need to solve the puzzle. You have 5 of the tarot cards. These are non-magical versions of cards that you would find in the new Deck of Many Things. And you have a 5-space grid in which you can lay the cards out in the correct order. Or if you go by how the puzzle is written in the book, then you would put them into the cupped hand of the halfling in the correct order from left to right. So with the fates, jester, knight, rogue, and sage, along with the instructions given to you by the halfling statue, do you know how to solve the puzzle? I'll give you a second if you'd like to figure it out. Did you get it? Great, let's go over the answer. Now I'm going to put our tarot cards up here on top so that we remember we have the fates, jester, knight, rogue, and sage, but we're going to have to begin by working everything out line by line. So the first part of the puzzle that is given to us by the statue is that the rogue is poised to backstab the sage. So if the rogue is going to backstab the sage, then that means the rogue is going to need to be close to the sage. So the rogue is either going to be on the left side or the right side of the sage. So we can't fill in any spaces yet, but let's just make a note of that. The next clue given to us by the statue is the haughty sage, full of disdain, won't deign to be next to the jester. Now that's a lot of big, weird, and complicated words, but it's basically saying that the sage will not be next to the jester. The next clue reads that the foolish jester does a headstand while gazing at the faraway knight. Now while we still can't place anything, we do know that the jester is going to be an upside down card. So the jester here, we're going to turn it upside down. We also know that the jester is going to be far away from the knight, so the jester cannot be next to the knight. Our next clue reads that the loyal knight stands beside the sage. So much like the rogue and the sage, now the knight is going to be to the left or to the right of the sage. So before we look at the rest of the clues, we now know that the sage cannot be on the ends. The sage is going to have the rogue on one side being backstabbed by the rogue, and is going to have the knight on the other because of the knight's loyalty. So the ends are not sage. And then our final clue given to us by the statue's instructions is behind the jester, the impassive Fates hangs like bats from the sky. So if Fates is going to be behind the jester, that means that Fates is going to be on the left or the right side of the jester. And we also know that Fates is going to be an upside down card, hanging like bats from the sky. Now, one of the things about the solution to this puzzle is with our two upside down cards, and I'll go ahead and move them into range. We have the jester and the Fates. They are both upside down. Now, in the Book of Many Things, none of the images are important except for the jester. In the Book of Many Things, they want you to see which direction the jester is looking. So as you can see here with an upside down jester, it is looking to the left. And that is very important to solving our puzzle. So if our jester is looking to the left in this position, we have our sage that has either the rogue or the knight on either side of it. And then the jester is separated from the knight and the sage, just like our instructions. But the jester is looking to the left. And as you recall from the clues, the foolish jester gazes at the knight while hanging upside down. And since the image of the jester is facing this way with no cards, then that means the jester needs to be on the right side. So we're going to move the jester down over here, move all of these cards down one, and our jester is going to be over here. So we still have our sage, there's the knight or the rogue. We're still not 100% if they are supposed to be on the left or the right. We have the jester on the far right. The jester is now looking at the faraway knight. The knight is here, so that works. But we also have Fates. And our very last clue is behind the jester, the impassive Fates hangs like bats from the sky. So if our jester is looking to the left, that means Fates has to be behind the jester. So we're going to move all of our cards down again. And since the Book of Many Things goes off of artwork, I believe this is the correct solution. If you remember the clues that we deciphered earlier, Fates is going to be on the left or right side of the jester, and since we determined that the jester is facing to the left when hanging upside down to be behind, then Fates is going to need to be on the right side, and that is taken care of. The knight needs to be on the left or right side of the sage. We have it on the left. The rogue needs to be on the left or right side of the sage. We have it on the right. And if we're going by artwork, although there's no mention of it, the knife of the rogue is pointed at the sage. So that would make sense for the backstab. Our other clues, the jester cannot be next to the knight, that is taken care of, and the sage is not next to the jester. So this is the correct order, and this is going to solve our puzzle. Now, if you don't have the Book of Many Things, that's fine. I'm going to help you run the puzzle in two different ways. If you have your own tarot deck and have the Greater Arcana cards, then you could use cards from your tarot deck. For the tarot deck that I have gone through the cards, I've looked at the art, and I've decided that the Magician is a good substitute for the Sage, the Devil is a good substitute for the Rogue, the Wheel of Fortune that I have can be the Upside Down Fates, and as you see here, I'm going to use the Fool, and the Fool is going to be facing to the left, just like the Jester, so I'm going to use the Fool, and then for the Knight, I'm going to use Justice, because the art of Justice looks like a knight. So in the tarot deck that I'm using, this is going to be the answer. Now, if you don't have the Deck of Many Things or your own tarot deck, you can still run this puzzle. There's actually an entire tarot deck that is in the public domain, and I will put a link to it below. You can go there and print out all of the pictures that you need to be able to run this. And actually, I've done most of the work for you, and I've posted all of the information that you need along with the public domain tarot deck cards into the puzzle room of our Discord. I'll put links to everything below. So that's all I have for you today. What did you think of the puzzle? Is this something that you would run in your game? And if so, what would you do differently? And have you picked up the book and the Deck of Many Things yet? If so, what did you think about it? Be sure to leave a comment below. Thank you very much for watching, and on to the next.